Hey guys, it's Aseem Sharma, training manager from Solframe Consulting. Again, I do hope you're all doing well. I want to briefly talk about how to deal with toxic people, and unfortunately, we have a lot of them around us. They could be your relatives, your friends, or your better half. It could be almost anyone. Now, when it comes to dealing with someone who is toxic, first of all, we need to identify what those signs may be that the person is toxic. It could be that they expect that you're there for them all the time and they don't respect your space. They may contact you at inappropriate times. They may be very demanding. They may make you feel guilty for not being able to help them at a certain time, playing the guilt trip. They may be very demeaning towards you. They may put you down. They may be domineering. There are many signs. And the first thing that we need to be able to do is identify what those signs are, some of the things I've already mentioned, and then come up with a strategy to deal with them. Now, of course, that depends, and I've also mentioned this in an article posted on LinkedIn. Um, how exactly do we deal with them? Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, because if it's someone who's close to you in your family and you can't really leave them, that is obviously a challenge then compared to maybe a friend. And again, let's say you're dealing with a friend who, the moment they expect something of you, or you assert yourself that, listen, I don't deserve to be treated this way, I would like this, or please don't do this upsets me, and they resort to a variety of measures. They either maybe send you abusive messages, or they become very kind of demanding, or they block you, they play the block game. I've experienced a lot of things myself, and I'm sure you guys have as well. Then how do you deal with that without unnecessarily feeling guilty and reminding yourself that, look, hey, I also matter, and I'm a wonderful person, and I deserve to be treated like a human, and if you can't do that, well, that's your issue then, in a polite way, of course. So if it comes to a close relative, then try to distance yourself where possible. Try to detach yourself from the emotional blackmail that maybe being played. So for instance, if someone says, look, if you don't do this, then I will do this to myself. Now, some of these things are very sensitive. And as I've mentioned earlier in the article, if you feel that you are in danger or something is becoming out of control, you should always seek professional advice. Do not take this as a video which is a substitute for that. Of course not. I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing my experiences and some of the practical solutions that you can implement to make things somewhat easier and rise above it, especially during these difficult times where it may be that you are encompassed within an abusive relationship, and then you seek advice or solace from external factors, or people I should say, and it's just more of the same, and it takes some time to realize it. And sometimes people may say, listen, okay, I was sorry, and they unblock you and they start talking to you again. And then there comes a point where you have to say that, okay, you know what, I'm not going to tempt myself. This is like a kind of drug addiction and intoxication perhaps, and I want to remain sober, so to speak. So even though it may be hard and it may cause you some heartache for some time, learn to detach yourself and learn to accept that these people will not change, and that they may try to have the last word and bully you, and that's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but what I'm trying to say is that you need to be able to ignore it. And again, it's easier said than done. When it comes to a relative, then detaching yourself, trying to disassociate yourself from the emotional elements that they attach with that, because of course that becomes difficult. So for instance, if I haven't done something well and someone close to me says, Aseem, you're good for nothing, and why don't you just get lost? I mean, that's putting it in a very polite way. For the purposes of censoring this video, I'm not going to share some of the things that I've heard or things that I've observed, okay? But you get the idea, hopefully, what I'm saying, or don't bother coming back home, that kind of thing. And whilst they may not mean it, because they kind of think that it's okay to treat you like their punch bag, that is completely unacceptable. If you feel that you have the means and it's practical to leave and find a better life by yourself, even if it's difficult. And there may be times where you feel guilty that you've abandoned someone, but then of course you have to think rationally and remind yourself from your head, and kind of like counteract what your heart says, that look, yeah, this was bad, but I tried doing X, Y, and Z. It didn't work, so I had to, I had no choice. I had to leave. So I can't be made to feel guilty about that. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't engage in meaningless discussions, and again, it's very tempting to do so. There are terms used for these things, narcissism or gaslighting, to kind of elicit or provoke a response. And to this day, I still have difficulty with certain people when they do that, but I'm getting better at it. So, the point is that it's not just about the practice, it's about identifying, as I mentioned. Identify, first of all, what these signs are, then, come up with a strategy to deal with them. And then, what is the outcome? What is your desired outcome? That the person stops that behavior? Well, ideally, yes. But then if they don't, then maybe you see less of them, or you distance yourself from them, or you kind of demonstrate to them that, look, okay, whatever you're doing, it is not having that desired effect. So, I'm not really affected by it, and it's just more of the same. If you decide to mature and grow up, and you want to have a rational discussion, then please do so. Otherwise, let's just leave it as it is. Let's agree to disagree. Something like that. So these are some of the things that you can do. And just bear in mind that, your reaction, especially if someone is not used to that, needs to be metered. So not that you just come down hard on them if they're not used to that, because they'll think, hey, what happened? It's akin to bullying. It's like, all of a sudden, if you stand up to a bully and you haven't done it before, that will be met with, a huge reaction and an explosion, which could arguably be dangerous, right? So it needs to be gauged. But then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you're a bully, and this is what you're going to do. And they typically have their own issues, and if they are not willing to get the help that they need, seek that help, or for you to help them, then let them be how they are, and focus on what you need to do. Because especially if it's a close relationship, yeah, I guess you feel obliged to, you owe it to them to be able to serve them. Maybe they've done a lot for you as well, but at the end of the day, you also need to accept, and I've mentioned this a few times now in this video, certain things can't be changed. And when those things can't be changed, you have to make that change. That may be a change within yourself, that may be a change to the circumstances, to disassociate yourself from them. It could be a myriad of factors. The point is, you need to be able to respect your own mental health and your well-being, and generally you will feel more successful and at ease. I mean, of course, yeah, people say that, look, meditation, or there's certain things you can do, that's fine, but then, people should understand that, look, their actions have consequences. And again, I mentioned this earlier, and if that means that you may end up losing someone indefinitely, then okay, so be it. It's no different to an alcohol or drug addiction, which may wreak havoc on a family. And if someone is not willing to make the change and quit or moderate that habit, which is creating a lot of destruction, then a choice needs to be made that, hey, what's more important? Is it my pride, my ego, or is it salvaging this relationship, which is arguably very, very important and an intrinsic part of their lives, or it should be anyway. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. For further tips and information, please do subscribe to this channel. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Telegram as well. If you have any comments or questions, please do feel free to ask. I'll be running other courses in addition to communication, personality development, writing skills, and of course dealing with difficult situations. So I do welcome you along to those courses. I do hope to meet you there. Till next time, please do take care, stay safe. Thank you very much. Signing off you now. Bye-bye.